Alright, I just want to make a quick video of these targets here. This is my old one here. I don't know if you've noticed in any of the recent videos, but starting to look a little beat up, and of course there's a freaking hole in it. But that is 100% my fault. I want to get a huge shout out and thanks to Shooting Target 7 for sending me this replacement. But this is my fault because this is only a 1/4 inch steel. It's their AR500. But I have intentionally hit this thing with stuff I'm not supposed to hit. I've got 1/4 inch. They offer all kinds of thicknesses. They even make AR400. I believe they have AR600 now as well. And you can get, you know, your standard 3/8 inch thick, which is what most people use, and they have them thicker than that too. But I like shooting 223, 5.56, and actually, believe it or not, and the video is on the channel as proof, even rimfire. 400 and 500 yards, let alone 223, 5.56. You cannot hear rimfire hit a 3/8 inch plate if you have ear pro in at 400, 500 yards. It doesn't make any sound. It's like somebody chucked a rock at it from here to there like that. So that's why I went with 1/4 inch on the 16 inch plate that you guys usually see me shooting in my videos, because it'll actually ring if you shoot it with a 22 long rifle at several hundred yards. You can actually hear it hit and ring, and because it's so thin, 1/4 inch. That 3/8 inch stuff, which is what you want to use, you know, for center fire rifle cartridges, 100 yards and further, that rings real nice with something like, you know, a 308 or a 30-06 several hundred yards out. And with 223 and 5.56, I could usually hear it out to about 400 yards on 3/8 inch gongs like this. But at 500, man, I just could not hear it with ear pro on. And of course, I couldn't hear it if I took my ear pro off either, because I'd be deaf from the gunshot. So this has come in extremely handy. You can easily hear 223, 5.56 hit this, even with ears on, blocking your hearing at 500 yards. So I believe I could probably hear it at 600 and possibly 700 yards as well. But anyways, that's why I'm using 1/4 inch here, so I can hear it ring. Plus, it's real nice to use down here on the pistol bay, which is actually what it's intended to be used for. Pistols under 700 foot-pounds of energy. 700 even is the limit. So that'd be like a really hot 357 Magnum load out of a, you know, a 6-inch revolver, or a kind of light 44 mag load out of maybe a 4-inch revolver. It can handle up to 750 foot-pounds of energy. It's a pistol target, but I've been using it for years with rifle. It was just fine. I wouldn't recommend it because it might eventually get to it, but it was just fine shooting 223, 5.56 at 100 yards. I had done that hundreds, if not thousands of times, and it wasn't doing anything to it. 223, 5.56 at 100 yards was still actually exceeding its foot-pounds of energy rating of 700. At 100 yards, it's probably like 900 foot-pounds of energy with the 223, 5.56, but I did that constantly and it never affected it. But when it finally started to degrade, and I've hit it with much larger calibers than that. I've shot the crap out of this with my 25-06, 6.5 Creedmoor, 30-06, 308, you name it. And some of them even at 100 yards. Now those calibers, like a 308, at 100 yards, it was putting little dents in it. But again, that's not what this thing's made for. So basically the message I'm trying to convey is I'm extremely impressed that this thing lasted as long as it did with my abuse. But it really started to go downhill when some jerk who didn't ask me, who I'm not very fond of, shot it at like 50 or 75 yards. I think I had it with a freaking 300 Win Mag and shot a hole right through it. And then ever since then, you know, it started cracking around there and we've knocked some pieces out and stuff. I mean, the thing still rings, but not as good as it did when it was new. So I asked Shooting Target 7, Mark over there, if he would replace it for me, which he did. So again, huge thanks to him and Shooting Target 7 for replacing it, even though the damage is 100% my fault and, well, the jerk that shot it with a 300 Win Mag at 50 yards. Because again, this is 1/4 inch AR500. It's only rated up to 700 foot-pounds of energy. If you want to shoot it with centerfire rifles, you just step it up to the 3/8 like most people do, and that's going to handle pretty much all those rifle calibers at 100 yards and beyond, no problem whatsoever, as long as you're not using like steel core or anything like that. But we finally got a replacement here, so I'll probably retire this one, or I might donate it to my buddy John. He lets me go record on his 100-yard range at his place sometimes. I might just stick it out there at 100 yards, donate it to the range. So we got a good one here. I'm going to make sure no jerks shoot it with 30-06 at 50 yards or anything like that. And I'm going to, I'm actually myself not going to hit it even with 223, 556 at 100 yards anymore like I used to. It was just fine doing that for years, but I'm going to make sure it's past 100 yards if I hit it with 223, 556, and probably the closest I'm going to hit it with something big like a 308, 30-06 would be like 400 or 500 yards. Even then, that's still probably over the foot-pounds of energy. But yeah, this thing has just impressed the crap out of me because I've hit it with so many things I'm not supposed to. Many times exceeded the foot-pounds of energy rating. And it was all fine and dandy until somebody shot a hole with it through a 300 Win Mag at 50 yards. And I've been dealing with shooting target 7 for years. It's the only place I've really been getting my steel targets from. I stand by them 100%. They're veteran owned. They actually do free shipping if you order over $99, which saves you a ton of money because it's not cheap to ship those heavy things. They have tons of options, all kinds of different kits and setups you can get, and they're one of the few companies that makes these big 16-inch gongs in 1/4-inch AR500, which I think that's honestly why I was drawn to them in the first place, but there's a lot of perks with going with that company as well. There'll be a link in the description. Go check them out. They're also zinc plated, so they don't rust out like some of the other ones. And I mean, this thing's been through the ringer for years. And I mean, even where there's a stinking hole, I still don't see any rust. And these things get wet. I'm out here shooting in the rain a lot too. So I've definitely had others and seen others down on the range that do rust, but theirs do not. But let me get this set up. We'll hit it a few times with some pistols, and of course it's going to be featured in a ton of videos starting from today here on out, so you're going to see it plenty. But we'll put a few rounds on it fresh here down at the pistol bay, and then I will shut my trap and wrap this one up. Got a light primer strike on my hand loads here. That was only about 300 foot-pounds of energy hitting it there, which is about the same as what you get with 556 out at 500 yards. So it's going to be ringing that loud, and you can definitely hear that from 500 yards away. But again, I'm speaking from personal experience, so. It's leaving some lead behind from all these. That's what that is, but yeah. Nice and smooth other than the lead coming back, which of course, you know, I already know that from using this thing for years. 940-45 is never going to do anything to this plate.